everybody, welcome back to Making Stuff with Mrs. Baroody. I'm Mrs. Baroody, and today we're going to be learning about weaving, which is such a fun and versatile thing that we can do in art. Now, a lot of you that are my students should have already watched the PowerPoint, but if you didn't, take a pause, go back and watch it, because I'm going to give some things away right now, okay? So when we talk about weaving in the PowerPoint, we're going to discuss the history of it a little bit, some ideas on how we can use weaving in our everyday lives, and what materials we could use, okay? So again, if you're one of my students, time out, go watch the PowerPoint, then come back and see me, okay? Everybody else, we're gonna keep moving on. So weaving, very versatile, like I said, but it really boils down to making a pattern. And I know that you've made patterns with paintings and drawings before with me. We've done like blue, orange, we've done circle, square, rectangle, circle, square, rectangle. All those things have in common is that they repeat themselves. So with weaving, as long as you're repeating your pattern over and over again, you're going to be successful. And you, the beauty of this is, you can make up your own pattern. You can keep it as simple or make it as complicated as you want. All right? I kind of have a big example to kind of show you some basics, and then from then on, it's your choice on what you use. I'm going to encourage you to use paper, because I think everyone's got to have some kind of paper at home. Newspaper, magazines, toilet paper, paper towels, tissue paper, wrapping paper. So many paper options. You can even just use a paper bag from the store. Remember, we don't get plastic anymore. You got to have some paper bags lying around, right? So when we do our paper weaving, which is what I'm going to encourage us to do, I don't really want to get into yarn and knot tying. That's another video, okay? I'm going to take a nice rectangle piece of paper, and this is the key. You need a certain amount of lines, certain amount of strips to make your weaving successful. So on here, I drew some white lines, but I stopped before I got to the top of the paper. So I cheated a little bit and I actually made a line and then erased it. So you can't see it anymore. So I made a line across my paper, and then I used a ruler. And again, if you don't have a ruler, you can use a straight edge, and you're gonna line it up and make these lines down. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I made 8, or an even number amount of lines to cut. That means these strips that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have an odd number of strips. So no matter what size or shape your paper is, as long as you make an even number of lines, that'll give you an odd number of strips. That's going to help with our weaving, okay? And I then took some more paper and cut them into strips like this. Now I, again, was smart, and I measured how wide my paper was. So this paper is the exact measurement of this. If it's too long or too short, we can make that work too. So now I have to do my pattern, and it's a very simple pattern. We're gonna go over, under, and we're gonna keep doing that all the way across. And you're gonna see that our rows have a pattern, but our columns are also gonna have a pattern, okay? So bear with me. I'm gonna start under this one, go over the second one, and you can see I'm using 2 hands. I can't do this one-handed. I'm using both hands to manipulate the black and the blue paper. So under, over, under, oh, is it gonna fall? Over, under, over, under, over, oh gosh, and under. Baroody needs longer arms. Okay, so now I have my paper. I'm not just gonna leave it there. If you look closely, I still have some space before my columns end. So I'm gonna take my hands, I'm gonna push that paper up until it stops. So I'm gonna push, all the way up until it stops. And because I've done such a good job weaving, I don't even need tape to hold this in place. It's staying there. But those of you at home, please make sure that you're being careful, because as you move your papers around, things might slip and fall, okay? So on this first row, we have under, over, and it keeps going. Now my column, I have to think about that too. If I went under on this one, what do I have to do on the second one to make it a pattern? I can't go under, that's not gonna work for me. I'm gonna go under, over. So with my red strip, I have to go over the first one and under the second one. And I'm coming up from the bottom just because it helps me out a little bit. Your paper might be flimsy, it might be really thick. That's gonna help you decide on which technique is gonna be better for you. I'm gonna keep going from the bottom just because it's working for me. So over and under, and I can always check my work. So if I use my eyeball, I'm under here, I'm over there. I'm on the right track. All right, under again. Oh, I'm stuck. Over, under, and then, son of a nutcracker. Oh, that tape. Okay, and then I'm gonna push it up to the top just like before. All right, and you can see our pattern starting to happen. I have under, over, under, and it's the opposite. So we're looking for a pattern across and a pattern down. So this is my giant example. Hang on. For my little examples, on this guy, I used just some white drawing paper. That's what he is. And you can see on the back how I drew a line across the top to kind of help me out with my lines. And then I cut my strips up. And then for the paper that goes across, I actually took a piece of white drawing paper and I just did crazy lines and stuff on it. And then I wove it through my project, and you can see how easy that slid out. Until I'm done, I can fix this at any time. So if I get 2 rows that are the same, something went wrong there, I can always pop out my paper and fix it, okay? At the end, you might want to use some tape or some glue. I use some clear tape on the back of this one to help hold my pieces in place. On this one, I got a little creative. So on this one, I used black paper and I used tape to hold things into places. And this time I just cut strips of paper. I cut strips of black paper that I also used some white crayon on. And then this is from like a National Geographic, I think my grandpa or my stepdad gave me. So I just cut strips of paper just like these guys. And then I wove them together. So this one needed a little bit more careful consideration. I really did a good job with my tape and my glue holding things together. And this could be a cool placemat. This could hang on the wall and look really cool. Once you get done weaving, you can make tons of things. If you use wrapping paper, you could weave a huge piece of wrapping paper and then wrap a present. If you use cardstock, you could turn that into a card. Cardstock is nice, thick paper. My mom's been making a lot of cards. I got one for my birthday and it was beautiful. So when you use cardstock, those are things you can turn into other things, like a card. You could make it into a placemat. You could make it into a coaster as long as you weren't worried about it being wet, okay? The things to remember is you have to have a pattern. Patterns repeat. Black, white, circle, square, circle, square. With us, it's under, over as we go down and up and down, okay? So we're worried about the rows and the columns. And those of you that have been in my classroom, I always think about my floor because it's a checkerboard, and that's kind of what these end up looking like, right? So if you're one of my students, make sure that you are uploading a picture for me to see, that you're attaching it when you turn it in. You can show me live during office hours. Parents can email to me. If you're not one of my students, show somebody, give it as a gift. I know somebody out there's gonna be proud of what you did, okay? Make sure that you're being safe, you're being kind, and you're definitely being creative, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.